Hold on, it's gonna be all right. I want to encourage somebody to hold on. It's gonna be all right. You may have a problem you can't solve. Just remember, there's nothing too hard for God. Hold on, child. It's gonna be all right. Whatever you're going through, goodbye. It's gonna be all right. Your way is in the world. It's gonna be all right. Press of life, then they get you down. Your so-called friends, they cry before. When you trust in Jesus, it's gonna be alright. Stop your crying. Jesus will be there. When all your burdens, just hang on. Well, praise God and welcome to this very special edition of Spotlight on Ministry. I'm your host, Bishop Andre Woods. This program is sponsored by the Interdenominational Assembly of Churches USA, and it's our joy to come to you every Saturday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with information you can use, Bible teachings, preaching, interviews, all of that we do for the ministry of the gospel in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. I am so glad you decided to join us today. You are going to be tremendously blessed, wondrously blessed when I tell you what the content of this particular program is in store. It has in store for you, rather. That's why I'm tired. I'm just excited. I'm just trying to get to where I need to be. But listen, friends, what I want you to do before we get started with our special guest, I want you to like and share. I want you to start your own watch party. I want you to tag your friends, spread the word that Spotlight on Ministry is on Facebook Live. We are live here on the Interdenominational Assembly of Churches USA page, and we forecasting on Fellowship of Music and Arts page, Andre Sonny Woods page, Bishop Andre S. Woods page. We're everywhere today. So listen, share it with your friends and let them know that they're about to receive some information that's going to be a blessing. You know, especially to my colleagues, pastors, and friends, especially to our IAC USA family, to our pastors. If you're tuning in today, Listen, you don't want to miss this information that we're going to be sharing today. Let me read this scripture before I read the brief introduction of our guest today. Ecclesiastes 10:19 says, "A feast is made for laughter, and wine maketh merry, but money answereth all things." Now, I didn't write that. Y'all go to your Bibles, get your Bibles out, the ones y'all don't read, get dust it off and just crack it open, or go to your phones or your iPads or right there on your desktops and look up Ecclesiastes chapter number 10 and verse number 19. That last clause, money answereth all things. Somebody say all, A-L-L. Matter of fact, capital A-L-L. And I know there are those of you out there in the midst of this pandemic and even before the pandemic, those of you need some answers. If money answers all things, how about you get some answers today on Spotlight on Ministry? Today, I guess, listen, let me just give just a little brief. This is just a drop in the bucket of this young lady's background. Today, we have a special guest, Ida Brian. Hope I said that right. I keep saying Brian and it's Byron. I I got Brian on the mind, but y'all forgive me. Ida Brian, and she's the regional vice president of Primerica Financial Services. She's very passionate in speaking the money language, which we're going to be talking today. State, federal licensed investment coach, life license for in 14. She's licensed in 14 states, and she's also VA licensed and fixed annuity appointed. And she worked with a team of 50 senior advisors, of which was recognized as the top advisor in the United States by Forbes magazine. What an honor. She's on a crusade to educate and to empower even the working class. And she says that I'm working on a major project of to diversify and the financial industry. And she's included some information that she's going to share with us today. I want you, my friends, to welcome to this platform, Spotlight on Ministry, our guest for today, this mighty young woman of God, anointed to do what she do, Ida Byron, Regional Vice President of Primerica Financial Service. Welcome to Spotlight on Ministry.
Thank you so much, Bishop. It's an honor to be here. I'm super excited. That's my partner right there, Sonia, that's in with us. I'm super
Yes.
honored to be here with you. I brought my partner with me if there's any extra questions when we're done today. But look at this as a workshop on money. This is a call to leadership, Bishop. No more can we think about things and discern over things that make sense. It makes all the sense in the world if something doesn't work to fix it. And if we look at our environment, if we look at our communities, something's not working. You just said something about money answers all things. It doesn't mean you're in love with money. It just means that money is a token. When some folks would say to me, well, money's not everything. Well, it's not, but it is everything if you got a mortgage payment. It is everything if someone's taken to the hospital, there's a hospital bill due. It is very important when your son or daughter has to go to school and there has to be, which what it's really a mortgage, but it's called student loans. If you got two kids, that's two mortgages coming your way. But it's about learning this and transferring this and then taking back ownership. So we got some great information we want to share. I got some slides that my partner Sonia and myself put together. Sonia is another heavily I'd say decorated individual in the field of money, in the field of finance. When you're talking about finance, there's not a lot of people of color. When I went to take my investment exam, there was over 300 people in the room taking that Series 6 and 63 and 65 exams. And I was one of, I think I was the only person in that room that had any color on them. And when I went in there the third time, I said, I'm not going to allow for us not to be represented in this room. When we have so much money, we just are misappropriating our monies. We're very
Mhm.
powerful, but we have to make sure that one of my coaches said that financial education or financial ignorance is a multi-billion-dollar business. And it's just unfortunate that Black folks don't make a dime. That hit me like a ton of bricks. So I pray before walking in here. I want the information that you receive. I want you to receive this information today. I want you not to, if you had some bad experiences in the past with someone from Primerica, I want you to let that go because you can't stop the message. If there's bad people in every business, it's not this one though, right? I am anointed by a higher power to get this done. I don't have to do this, but I have to do this. I will not die with this information. This information must get out to the masses. Is everybody going to do it? We understand that most people have been so poisoned against their wealth that they probably won't do a thing. However, there are some folks out there that are willing to fight for their families and to change. If you don't change, then you become obsolete anyway. So there's some information that we're going to share. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't, and facts are facts. So we got to get away from TikToking our information and get the facts. So I'm going to share some facts today, and then some of this stuff here is going to hit some folks in the gut. I want everyone to be mentally tough enough to absorb this information. And then once we get this information in, let's talk about a way that we can fix things. Let's make a decision that after this call today, that we're not going to go into 2022 with the same financial footprints that we had coming into this year. It takes a little bit of time to wash off all the negative, um, I like to say, plaque that we've been plagued with. At a dentist, you go to a dentist, you go there every 6 months because there's plaque on your teeth. So imagine not going to a dentist for 20 years. Your teeth would probably not look as shiny. And most of us have plaque on our brains. We've never had anyone talk to us about how to clear that and how to get to our finances to a place where we don't worry about it, and even to legacy our money to the next generation. So it's not about us. It's about the next generation. It's about making sure that we can actually have ownership, but we got to repair some stuff first. And with that, I want to go into, if I can, some of the slides I want to share. If you can give me sharing privileges, I'll go with that, which I think is pretty awesome. That
Oh, yeah,
Sonia,
yeah, yes, go right
Sonia,
ahead. We appreciate it.
yeah, all right. So I got some stuff I want to share. I'm not able to share. You got to give me host sharing privileges, Coach, if you can. On your side, I have to have sharing privileges, otherwise I can't share. If you go to
Uh-oh.
the share button and to participants and give me ability to share, or just say that you're going to help me to be a
On the
co-host.
share screen.
Yeah, and if I can share this information, it's pretty awesome. Go to participants, go to my name, and just put like co-host, and allow me to share this information. There's nothing but the devil being busy trying to stop us from getting this information out, but we're gonna do it anyway. Awesome, awesome.
Did I do it right?
Let me see. I'm gonna see if I got you. No, go to that's something
Uh-oh.
different. Go to participants in the Zoom, and then it'll have my name there. Go over to my name. It'll say more, and then um, Hmm. Usually that allows you to allow me to come in there and speak with you. Hold on, we'll get some help with this in a second. Let me see if there's another way that you can
Uh-oh. Let
let
me let
me
me get
share
my
with you.
screen back. I didn't hit something and
That's okay. And then
lost mine.
we'll get it together.
It said now, do I hit new share?
Um, hold on for a second. Um, if you go to share screen, I can't share here,
Just
but
if
from
you can go to participants, is this going to be at the bottom on the left? At the bottom, put participants. And when you get to participants, click on Ida's name. Let me see. Hold on. You just need to turn her into a host. She should be able to do it.
I don't minimize my screen some kind of way.
okay, we're here. We're not leaving until this information gets out to the masses.
Okay.
Or go to where it say more.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what do I see? That's recording, share. I don't know. I'm not finding what y'all. Lord help us here.
Okay,
Oh,
you got it?
participants.
Right. And go to my
You see
name.
where it says hosting?
Yeah.
Just make her a co-host.
Participants, 3.
Make me co-host.
Participants. Maybe I'm not on the right screen. I don't know what I'm
It should
doing
be on
here.
it's on your Zoom screen.
Try this way. Ida, hit the share screen, and then Bishop, if you would be so kind to just give her permission to share. So hit the share screen,
I did.
Ida.
I did.
And Bishop, do you see where it is asking you permission for her to share her screen?
I don't know where, but I done hit something wrong here. That took me out of everything.
Stop screen share. Hit stop screen share. Hit the green button. You see the green
Yeah.
button? Click that. It says stop screen share.
Okay,
There you go. Okay,
I got you.
right. Now she's going to ask you for permission.
Hold on.
Okay.
And if you see her say permission, just give her permission.
I've asked.
Let me get it right. I don't see. Now where would that come up at? Because I don't see it.
I'm pushing the share screen and it says host disabled participant screen sharing. So Bishop, go to your
Multiple,
box.
okay, I got multiple.
Okay. And make me a go to my name and make me a co-host. Can you see that?
Okay, participant. It's not pulling up your name on my end. I don't know what I'm doing.
Take our time, we'll get it.
I got to go back and practice.
Good.
Okay, I got that multiple participants can share simultaneously,
Mhm.
but I don't see your name.
Okay,
All right.
give her permission. Did you click the button that says yes, they can multiple screen? I mean, multiple. Okay, now try it now, Ida.
Okay. Outstanding. Here we go.
Okay.
All right.
See, I learned something new just when went on here with you all today. I never had to do that.
Here we go, and I'm excited.
All right.
So.
There you go. Look at God. We're gonna learn this technology.
We're gonna get this together. So I want everyone to just get a pen and some paper because you learn differently when you write stuff down. You're not going to remember this information, and you're going to have to start looking at this stuff from a learned perspective. So here we go. It said, "Where's the love?" The financial industry. There's 329.5 million people in the United States. Of that number, 80,000 are licensed representatives. Of the licensed representatives, 13,500 are working licensed reps. What does that mean? That means that there's a lot of people that are licensed that aren't doing anything, or have retired, just kept their licenses, or just have them dormant and want to use them later, or use the licenses to get better jobs, but they're not using them in the financial industry. Only 13,500 are actually working. So the disparity is already evident, but wait, there's more. There's 60 million for Hispanic people in the United States, and only 1,500 licensed representatives that are Hispanic to help that population. Working to help other licensed, we need more licensed reps in that area, but there's more. There's 41,900,000 African American people in the United States, and only 1,500 licensed African American reps. So that means, again, that there's 41 million, almost 42 million people, African American people, and in that number, there's only in the United States of America 1,500 African American licensed individuals. So here are some stats we went over. What about Detroit? The city of Detroit is 18 billion in debt. With a 25% unemployment rate. These stats we pulled out of Forbes, CNN, a plummeting pension fund because there's more people retiring, living in retirement longer, pulling from or already weakened pension fund. There's some stuff we can share on pensions that if you don't start to look at your pension, it's a scary place. The average retired worker is getting in Detroit $1,600 a month due to inadequate funds, and the city of Detroit is on the verge of bankruptcy. If Detroit goes bankrupt again, that means that the pension's going to go bankrupt. Once pensions start falling in states, it's going to happen in other states. So you got to get educated on how to protect yours. The city is on the verge of bankruptcy. There's massive joblessness, high poverty, low education rates, disenfranchised or disconnection from the elderly, so nobody's listening to them, and massive failed institutions because the money's not right, the education is not right. So how can it sustain? So I want you to ask yourself these questions. When was the first or last time you had a conversation with a financial representative in your neighborhood? Did that financial representative come from your own community? Did that financial rep help your family design a financial freedom plan? Listen, you can't get to any destination without a plan. If you're doing it willy-nilly, if you're doing it haphazardly, if you're not paying attention to your money, it's going to ignore you in the long run. And one of my coaches said, whatever you ignore will later ignore you. He also said that as a kid, you look like your parents, but as an adult, you look like your choices. We're simply saying to make different choices and change some things. If you don't have a financial coach or a plan, how do you plan to become financially free? How is this going to just manifest for you if you don't put some work in, if you don't decide that this is something that you want to know? Unless somebody said to me, well, Ida, finance is not for me. I'm really not interested in that. Unfortunately, it doesn't matter what you want to do, it's what you have to do. You have to become financially literate. Financial literacy is just a language. If you speak English, your second language has to be money. You must become bilingual to change the stats for us financially, if that makes sense. So our passion project is we want to help our underserved and underrepresented communities of color. We're being ignored and we spend so much money, but we're not bringing any back. So we want to give you access to powerful tools and resources that the other Americans have. They have access to this all over the world, except our communities don't because we've been so disconnected from our money that we almost think it's not important. And Bishop, I'm so glad that you read that from the Bible because we don't make this up. The numbers are the numbers. If you don't take an active stand and stand up for your finances, what are you leaving your kids? The only way to wedge or to clear up that wealth gap is to fight differently. So our strategy is to help 100 families within the next 100 days. We're going to help you to receive a financial coaching and a financial plan. Everybody needs a plan in their house. There should be a financial coach in every household. There should be a financial coach in every church that's licensed up, not just there, but licensed up that can change things. We want to help 100 qualified individuals become licensed just like us and properly trained to go out to the community, an army. Because the only way we're going to close the wealth gap is to have an army of people that are licensed up to fight the big dogs. There's no way in the world we can do this without getting educated. Look at the track record. At this point in the game, it is unfashionable just to get paid. You have to learn how to get overpaid. Whitney Houston, prolific singer out of New Jersey. I'm sure that I can go to Jersey tomorrow and find somebody that can sing better than her. However, she learned how to get overpaid. Kobe Bryant, phenomenal player. I'm sure that we could find somebody in the hood that probably plays better than him. But what he did was he learned how to get overpaid. Beyonce, Jay-Z, Kanye, they learned how to get overpaid. The only way to catch up in an environment where you've always been behind is to learn how to get overpaid for services. Is this legal? Absolutely. You must learn the language. You can't be afraid to get wealthy. You were born that way. Somebody told us we couldn't swim. We were in utero for 9 months and we were Olympic swimmers when we were born. So whatever fears you got against your personal wealth was all uploaded to keep you downtrodden. All of us got to fight together. So the question is, are you ready to be helped? We want to be able to help others. Or can you do both? Can we help you and can you help us to help others? That's my email address. If you want to take a picture of that with your phone, email me and tell me that, Ida, listen, I need a plan of action. I need someone to help us. I need us to get better, but if you leave it for your kids to do, it's not going to happen. It takes the matriarch or the patriarch of the family to decide we're going to get financially literate, we're going to get better. And when we do that, we can change things. When we own where our money comes from, Bishop, when we own where our money comes from, we become owners in our own lives. It's not just, it's own the ship. It's ownership. Own the ship. But you can't own anything if you don't understand the language of money. And you can't grow in this country and own a thing. If you don't own where your check comes from, somebody else is dictating your life for you. So that's what we got so far, Coach. Bishop, I'm excited that we're here. If anybody has any questions, I ask them to funnel them to you. We'll help right here. Sonia is my partner in business. Sonia helped me to put together those slides, impactful slides. Sonia is heavily decorated in the field of finance. She's been doing finance for the last 20 years. She went to college just like I did. We got degrees just like mine was on scholarships. I wish I could get those people's money back because it had nothing to do with money. If you want to find wealth, then you should work in an area that wealth lives in, which is wealth lives in money. Why are you talking a lot about money? You seem to love money. No, I don't love money. I love what it can do. There goes Sonia. I love what money can do. Sonia, I want to bring you up for a few moments to give a few notices or some nuggets on the direction we're going, what we're looking to do, and who we're looking for. We're looking for an army. If we were in Afghanistan, there'd be an army dispatched. We need an army in Detroit. We need an army in all of the cities where we are the ones that are in those cities and we don't own anything. Time for a change. So, Sonia, I want to bring you up. The mic is yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Bishop, for this opportunity to share with your audience. I just want to share real quickly, Ida, you did an amazing job. That information is powerful. Those statistics, liars can figure, but figures can't lie. And those statistics say we got to make a change. We got to do something significant. And as you said, we need an army. We need an army of people that are going to join us in this mission, in this passion project, to start to get the numbers to move. One of the things that we've learned as we've gone through this business, we've learned that money problems aren't usually generated because of the quantity of money. It's generated because of three things. It's generated because, as you spoke to, one of them is language, or we call literacy. We have to learn to speak the language of money. The second is awareness. We don't know where our money is going. And the last one is behavior. We have to change the way we respond and what we do and what actions we take with our money. And it's this work that we would like to do in the communities of color, because the key is we have to have representation. Without representation, we can have no change, because as I said, no one is coming. You said no one's coming to our community that looks like us, helping us with our money. So if we don't have the coaching, you look at any of the great athletes, they always talk about that one or two coaches that made their life different. They always had the ability, they always had the talent, they always had the skill. But it was those coaches that moved them to the next level. So those people that we are talking to today that are in the position, you have the skill, you have the talent, you have the resources. You just need some great coaching, and you just need a plan. So I'm going to turn it back over to you, Bishop and Ida. But if we're here for any questions that we may have, but I'm just so excited to be a part of this passion project. And thank you so much for allowing me to share. Bishop?
Bishop, we turn it back over to you.
All right. Thank you. Listen, I want you to go into some detail on the importance of, I'm just going to hit the nail on the head as we talked before coming on. A lot of ministries, pastors, they don't have on staff a financial consultant or professional that can really walk them through the process of putting things in place properly. And some families don't have it. And like you said, in our culture, the Black family is noted for not having their business in order, from insurance to legacy to talking about putting their estate together and leaving inheritances for the next generation. What are some of the things that they will learn going through the training? And talk about the training and how that will work.
So we have quite a few resources that we work with. Bishop, you mentioned about legacy planning. We have an actual workshop that's called Thy Will Be Done. And it's actually a workshop that they can view and also learn how to set up their will. It's a 1 hour workshop. And if they follow the workshop, we also have a workbook that works alongside of it. We can actually show them how to set up their will and literally be able to execute that for less than $300 for a husband and a wife. So that's one of the things they'll learn. They also will learn how to be able to help themselves by getting a financial blueprint, help themselves to get either out of debt or start to manage the debt that they have. We also can show them how to take the money now that they have reorganized and put it into plans for their children for college or for themselves, or they can even become entrepreneurs. So there's just so many things. Once the money is fixed, we can fix a lot of other things. So I don't know if that answered your question, Bishop, but we just have a lot of training that we can do with people and a lot of help we can give them.
Okay, what about the entrepreneurs, small business, or those who are venturing into new businesses? And then, of course, churches, pastors, ministries who got great vision, but they need provision for the vision. So talk to us about that and how pastors can access your information that would be a help to them.
Well, we have a lot of programs where we've worked with pastors and we've set up for them, because a lot of pastors, so here's what happens to a lot of pastors. They have the issue of what we call being diametrically opposed to their congregation at some point, meaning they've been in the ministry for so long, but having not set up their retirement plan properly. What winds up happening for the pastors is that they would like to retire, but can't afford to. And the congregation would like to keep them on, but they don't have the money to help them to retire. So it gets to a point where he wants to retire, but he doesn't have the money, or she doesn't have the money, and the congregation doesn't have the money to let him go. So it becomes a very, very strained situation. Another issue that we see in the churches is when a lot of times, if the pastor of that church is a very dynamic, charismatic leader, sometimes the revenue that church receives is directly attributed to his dynamic leadership. Well, what happens if he passes away prematurely? Some churches don't have what they call a key man situation. I've seen churches where they had to literally almost change their charter because they lost so much revenue when their pastor passed away. So that's something else that we have in place, that we can sit down and talk and speak to that. And finally, with the congregations themselves, we have workshops, we have trainings that we will actually come in and we'll teach them biblical economics, how to actually set that up. That can be done through a Bible study. It can be done on a Saturday morning, but it's something that we can set up and we can customize it to that particular ministry, so that they'll be able to deliver it in the same time frames that they generally deliver their regular message. But the power of this is that we were trained by a person who taught us that if your ministry learns to tithe properly, because they now are in a position to tithe properly, most of the challenges we have in our ministries would go away. So we can sit down and teach them not only tithing, but teach them how to put the money in position so they can give that 10%. Then that 10% is more than enough to take care of most of the issues that we see in a lot of our churches. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I hope that it did.
Yeah. Blessings, Bishop Coney, and Pastor Starworth is on with us. She might have a question. Get your question ready, Pastor Angela Starworth. Blessings, Pastor Ward. He's on vacation in Texas, but he tuned in. One of our pastors, Evangelist Patricia Mims. We got some folk chiming in. If you all have a question, put it in the comment section and we will share those questions with our guests. Let me ask you this, because you said something that's very key, that we pray we can change this culture of pastors, like you said, wanting to retire. And then at the same time, if they retire and they're trying to bring on a new pastor so that they can also financially take care of the retirement of a pastor and also be in a financial position to bring in a new pastor, his family, and pay them a salary with the parsonage and all the things that they need to do to put that package together for an incoming pastor. Because most of the time in Black situations, I would say almost 90% of the time, they don't bring in pastors to after the death of a pastor, so they don't worry about retirement. But then there are those now who are retiring. They're setting up transition where they can pass the mantle. And so we want the church to be financially stable, so when that transition comes, they can also take care of the retirement of the going out pastor, and then be prepared to receive the new pastor. So you tailor make programs for each church. Am I hearing you right?
You're absolutely correct. And what we do is we talk to pastors who've never had, again, recognize a lot of us came up in churches that did not have this type of training. And so therefore, what you just mentioned was called succession planning. So not only are we teaching succession planning for the individual person, we're teaching succession planning for the church itself. And we have to look at that because, again, we can all transition. Nobody knows the day or the hour but the Lord, but we can all transition, and we need to position ourselves that when the transition happens, we have very little disruption to our business as usual, if you want to call it that. We have to be in that position, but only way to do that is to plan. And that's why one of the pieces that Ida just spoke about was, do you have a plan? And that's really what we want to be able to do, is to coach, plan our work our plan, and coach the people in the plan. So if you look at creating a financially stable congregation, individually stable congregation, that breeds an individually stable household of church members that can actually transition with you. So I just think that when we look at those things, we can just do so much more than what we're doing. But as Ida mentioned, we need an army, because there are a lot of churches out here. There are a lot of people out here, and we have to help them. And we're looking at, like, again, the statistics right there in Detroit. There's a lot of financial challenges that are happening right now.
Yes.
And a lot of people don't know how to navigate those. So we are here to help them navigate it. And the great thing about being licensed is that once we teach them how to navigate it, we can execute the programs to make it stay. We don't send them back to the wolves, because sometimes people are talking to people about products, but it's not the products that you need. It's a process and a strategy. And what we do is we show people processes and strategies. And the reality of it is no different than a lot of us, if we've ever had relatives that worked on a farm, it's no different than farming.
Mm-hmm.
The difference is no one's ever taught us. Because if you look at it, the farmland is something where you plant seeds with expected harvest. Well, we want to teach you how to plant financial seeds to get a financial harvest. The difference is that a lot of people have never had financial farming taught to them. So their seeds don't grow roots.
Yeah. Well, those pastors that are on, I hope you hear what I'm hearing, because I think it's important. And I'm glad you mentioned specifically this region, Detroit, because one of the things, and this is a godsend for me as leading our group, the Interdenominational Assembly of Churches USA. One of my passions is for pastors. Some of them are still working full-time jobs and still trying to do full-time ministry. Now, they might have a 401k or benefits from their job that they got, that they're going to retire from, so they can get those benefits, Social Security, whatever that they're going to get. But for those who are in full-time ministry, and the ministry basically is trying to be responsible for the care of the shepherd, would you suggest that all of us invest in having a financial person on our staff that is well-versed in all of what you all are talking about, so that as we move, we get ready to go into 2022. And I'm right there with you, sister. We cannot go to the next year the same way we are now. You know, we can't allow the past to keep repeating itself. They keep saying if you keep doing the same thing you always done, you're gonna get the same results. And so there are those who I know who are passionate about ministry. They just need the tools to do it. And one of the main tools is finances. Now, here's where I am. And the reason why I say that, why this is such a blessing to me to hear all of this, because I think even in the Black church, we get messed up trying to make everybody a volunteer. No, 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 no.
That's it.
We have some volunteers, and volunteers rotate. They can come when they want to, they can quit when they want to. We need paid Holy Ghost filled professionals on our staffs to take care. We need a youth minister, we need an assistant pastor, we need somebody over the finance. They need to be the CFO, CEO, whatever they are, over those finances. They need to be full-time to watch the money.
You're 1,000,000,000% correct on that. I'm going to share that just going to give a piece on the pension systems in Kentucky. The pension system is in default in Kentucky because they just didn't have the right people on the board of directors to specifically structure the retirement fund for them. So what they were doing was, if you're a fireman, they say, hey, you're a fireman, come on the board. If you were a police officer, come on the board. When you drive an ambulance, come on the board. Now, those people were specific to whatever jobs they had, but none of them had any kind of experience when it came to how to pick funds or what kind of strategies to put together. So it's not a surprise that Kentucky's financial system is about to fall. If it falls in one state, it can fall in another. So, I absolutely agree that every church should have a licensed individual or licensed team of folks that are not just counting the money on a volunteer basis, but they are actually there to make sure that they're not just counting the money, they're growing the church's money and then report to you as to how your church is doing. You cannot put somebody, I'll give you an example. You got a church, we're not going to brick and mortar churches anymore, but we got churches and we got church vans outside. You wouldn't allow somebody to drive the congregation around in a van that wasn't licensed. And that van may cost $50,000, maybe $60,000, but that church costs millions of dollars. Yet we let people that have no licenses run that fund. It doesn't make sense. Sonia, take it from there.
That is exactly right, Ida, and you're hitting the nail on the head. But here's the challenge with the churches that I've seen, Bishop. They don't even have a system in place. So yes, Kentucky may be failing, but a lot of our church pastors don't even have a 403B in place. They have no retirement plan in place. There's nothing. I mean, yes, they have the benevolence offerings that come in every week, but unfortunately, they're not putting that out to their future. And so therefore, they stay there literally until they take them out, but first, you know what I said, head first. So we just want to position our ministries to be a lot more flexible, or I should say transitional or legacy build, so that they can grow and not be concerned with being limited in what they can do for themselves and the ministry.
Yeah,
and one other thing I want to add, that even those individuals that are working full-time jobs, that got a 401k or 457, you still need a checkup, because you may think you have enough. And I don't think, the question is, do you want to know what you have, or so that when you retire, that's the longest vacation you're going to take. The longest vacation anyone is going to take is retirement. So you should know your numbers. It's a numbers game. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. If you don't know your specific numbers for you and your family, and everybody's numbers are different. If you don't know your numbers, you're not retiring. It doesn't matter if you got a 457 or 401k. It's what's in them, where they're at, how they're doing. If you need a financial checkup. Everyone should have one every year. We do them for folks, but if you're not getting a checkup, then you don't know what's going to happen.
Let me ask this about insurance packages. Are you all versed in that area where you can make suggestions? Because a lot of pastors build ministry over years. And one of the worst things that's been happening lately throughout the body of Christ is when a founder of a ministry who planted a church dies, and then his wife or family is left. They put them out the parsonage, and there's limited funds for that widow and children to live on, because the church part might have been insured, but there was not a significant enough of funds put aside. And I think it's because some pastors weren't prepared or weren't educated on the process to make sure that there was a difference between what the church would ultimately receive as a beneficiary as opposed to his family, his or her family to receive. And I've seen some bad situations, some horror stories that would just grieve me to the fact that it's all over money. You know, the church come out good, but then that family is left. They end up downsizing, moving, relocating, and living on crumbs. I mean, I just think that's a tragedy. So what you're talking about, I believe can assist us. And to all of our IAC pastors, if you're listening and not in the comment section, but those of you who are, and then Pastor Starworth, get ready. If you got a question, let me know. Just unmute yourself and come on and ask your question. But let me ask this about the training. You all are prepared to offer training, and you're looking for what I think Ida, you told me like 50 candidates that you want to train before what?
50 to 100.
50 to 100 that you have a goal to
Yep.
train. Talk about that piece so our people can understand if they're interested in being trained, or if a pastor might have somebody that he want to send to the training for their particular church, or maybe some family who's got a family business and they need this information.
Mhm.
So let me just mention two things before I turn it back over to Ida. One is in terms of the pastor, he can appoint someone that he feels would be good and competent in this type of area. That would be helpful. That's one. The second one is also some pastors themselves, because they do work part-time, or I should say are part-time, full-time workers with a part-time ministry, or full-time ministry and a full-time job. Sometimes our work is very helpful to him because he does not have to go, because of the flexibility of the work that we offer. Once he gets himself licensed, he's able to make a substantial enough income to stay full-time in ministry without having to go back and forth between a job. So we've done that work as well. So either way, it's a way for us to be able to support ministry, whether it be a person that the pastor appoints, or whether it be the pastor themselves, because he may have a full-time job that he wants to release. We can train him, license them, and get them in a position of income producing so that they can actually stay in full-time ministry or part-time ministry, whichever one it is, for them to be able to support that local congregation. And that's what's important, is that local congregation. Because here's the thing, Bishop, you mentioned about insurance. Let me get real clear on that. When a pastor has a family and he has a church, there are two entities that are depending on him for their financial resources. And he needs to have two separate contracts to take care of that. Unfortunately, a lot of times they don't see that. So they'll say, oh, my church has got it covered. Most of the time, a lot of churches are only covering the burial of the pastor, meaning maybe $20,000. But again, as I mentioned earlier, if this pastor is dynamic, charismatic, is a person that really has people coming, then there may be also a financial loss to the church because he now has left. But on top of that, now his family, who is receiving housing benefits, now his family is there's no longer a need for that spouse to live in the parsonage, because unless they're a minister, they're not providing any help to the church. So that's something where the pastor needs to either have his own home already or have an alternate plan of how his family is going to live if something should happen to him and he's no longer able to work. So yes, that is something that Ida and our team can put together to help the pastor at least have the conversation. And the great thing about us is that myself, and I will speak for Ida, we come from the Black church. So we've seen some of the tragedies that you've spoken about. And again, our goal is to get in there and to do the work, because we know it's not the work that we need to do is all about education. It's all about acknowledgement, or I should say awareness. It's all about literacy and language and teaching us how to change our behavior. We can't keep doing the same thing, expecting different results. And a lot of people going into these ministries, not going into the business of ministry, because it's a business, and there's things that you can do in the business to help protect it. And that's what we want to teach people how to do. Ida?
Another piece of that, and thank you, Sonia, you put that as eloquently as ever. I love Sonia. The teachings that we have is we have a system. We're not just shooting off the hip with this. There's a system, and it's with this COVID environment that we're in, everybody's afraid to go out and talk to each other. Our system you can do online. So it's a defined system, and it's not just education, as Sonia mentioned, it's the application. If you're not applying what you learn, then we're not changing anything. So knowledge, a lot of folks think it's power. It's the application of what you know, and then being able to give it to somebody else. That's power. So the mission is this, and then you mentioned someone that might be interested. Everybody has to change that mindset. It's not that I'm not interested. It's not that I got to think about it. It is fix your money. You can't think about your legacy. You got to fix your legacy. And to most people, if you don't fix it, the next generation is not going to fix it. They said for every family that comes from an abusive family, it takes 5 generations to fix that. But for every family that comes from a financially deprived background, it never fixes until someone stands up to fix it. Which means that whoever's on this broadcast, wherever you are that one leg that your family got to stand on to fix it. I think that every pastor should know, should be educated, should be licensed, so that when you do put somebody in that business, you can look at what they're doing as well. I want everybody to know this language. If you're in France and you don't speak French, but somebody next to you speaks French, you're going to miss something. I want everybody to speak the language of money. Now, is everybody going to do? We already know the numbers. Most will not look at the numbers of the amount of investment advisors versus how many are licensed up to go out here and help folks. What's great about this is that the numbers are so outstanding that there's so much money to be made here just through educating. We are in a pull-up system. The more we educate and empower, the companies take care of us. Y'all don't pay us for this. This is something that we're doing passionately, because if we don't do it, we don't win. And if we don't get educated and get strong on our foundational education, we're not talking about something that's going to happen overnight. This is not an overnight fix, because it didn't happen to us overnight. This is a guts out, get in your gut, change how you're moving movement. And once we get in there, we can see the diagnosis. Every family is different. If you got a full-time job, you still need an education. If you got 10 jobs, you need to get away from one because you ain't spending no time with your family. So it's not about working more hours for your money. It's about showing you how to make your money work for you so that you can go ahead and run that church. You can go ahead and run your family. Stop running away from stuff and get in here with us, get dirty, and get your money fixed so that we can move forward, if that makes sense.
Let me ask you to share what the benefits will be in taking this training, and how they can create and use this training perhaps as a residual income, or another income, or some people might be looking for a career change to make this a full-time thing. Talk about the training, how they can access the training, and the benefits that they're going to gain after being trained.
Sonia, take that.
Okay, I'll take that one. So the first part of that question was, what would I think we already handled what training would look like. Now, the benefits, I will tell you, are immense, because you got to remember there's money in the money business. There's money in the money business. And anytime you are moving in the financial world, especially with licenses, it comes with income. The benefit is the fact that not only will you be able to move your own personal financial house into a different position, but because of the knowledge and utilizing the products that people are already using, but showing them how to do the process properly. So, I'll give you a real quick example when you say, what's the benefit? Two benefits. One is the fact that you're going to get an education. So I just had a conversation with a family that's in ministry. And I'm just going to do a little quick education. Family in ministry recently purchased a home. Called me up and said, so you've been coaching us, you've coached our pastor, and now you've coached us. And we just recently bought this home. We have children. And we keep getting these notifications from the mortgage protection companies, insurance companies say, I need mortgage protection. Is that what we need? Is that what we need? I said, well, let's talk about that. Let's do a breakdown. So Bishop, do you mind if I ask you some questions? I'm gonna show you a little bit about the training and where the benefits come in, even if the person doesn't join the team, but just gets the training. Can I just share this a little bit with you?
Oh, yes, please.
Okay, so let me explain something to you. A lot of people buy houses and they hear, have you ever heard of a product where you can buy a house and if you pass away, the bank gets paid off and your husband or wife will be able to have no mortgage. Have you heard of that?
I've heard some talk about that.
Yeah. Okay, so that's something that a lot of people, when they buy their houses today, they get these insurance companies that come and they keep sending them advertisement, and people usually think that's a good idea. Wouldn't you think that's a good idea? Listen, my house will be paid off. So I like to explain it to you this way, and this is why it's so powerful, the training that we give as opposed to the general industry. So just think about this as a cow. You have a cow and the cow's worth $500. And in exchange for that cow, they're going to give you a house. So you exchange a cow and you give them the cow, you get the house. But guess what? In America, I don't know where you live, but I live in New Jersey. Ida lives in New York. But where we live, you still got to pay taxes on that house. Mm-hmm. So now once you've given up the cow, right? How are you going to pay the taxes?
You can't.
You can. You just got to go find some money to go do that, right?
Yeah, you got to do something.
You got to do something, right? So I said, okay, so that's what they're sending, the letters that keep coming in the mail saying, listen, we're going to give you a cow. And if you pass away, you give that cow to the bank and you don't owe the bank any money. And I said, well, that's a product they want to sell you. But can I offer you another alternative? How about I teach you a process? Think about this, Bishop. How about I take that same cow and instead of when you pass away, instead of giving the cow to the bank, how about I take that cow and I place it on a farm? And on that farm, I milk that cow, and that cow's milk is enough to pay that mortgage every month. And if you pay that mortgage off in 10 years, let's say it's 10 years you have left to pay the mortgage off. Now the cow is giving you enough milk to pay the mortgage off. Who owns the cow?
You own the cow. I own
you still own the cow.
Yeah.
Guess what? What did the cow, now that the cow has paid off your mortgage, now what else do you still have from the cow?
Still got milk and making money.
Yep. And what's the bonus that the cow can give you that you probably never even thought about? If you don't give it up.
Consistent income.
No, the cow can have babies and give you more money.
Well, yeah.
So if the cow has babies and the baby pumps the milk, is that a good way to set up a legacy plan?
Oh yeah, I got you.
You got me? So now the difference is over here, the mortgage companies that are sending out the advertisements are asking you to get a cow from them and give it to them. Give it to the bank. We're saying take that same process, that same product, but put it into this process and build a legacy for you and your family. So that's the kind of, you said, well, what's that? That's everything. That's everything. That's teaching a family how to go literally from poverty to prosperity in one lesson. So even if they don't ever make a dime off it, but learn how to use their money more wisely, Bishop, that's one of the benefits. So the question was, what's the benefits? I think the benefits is the financial intelligence that you gain by being a part of the training program. Yes, you get income, but the financial intelligence will make you more money than ever the income probably will. Awesome. Did that answer your question?
Yes, that answers my question. The next question is, Sister Ida, tell our folk how they can get into this training.
Well, it's simple. We just have to have a conversation. My cell number, and I don't mind you having, I don't give my cell number out to everyone, but I believe that this is a divine place for us to be. My cell number is 917. That's my email address on the screen. But Bishop has my cell phone number. And any of you guys that want to talk with us, I say send me an email and we'll get back in touch. We have the resources to accommodate. We need 100 people that are no longer ignorant when it comes to money. And please don't get insulted by the term ignorant. Ignorant means you just didn't know. The question is, do you want to go into 2022 ignorant? The question is, can your family afford to be ignorant anymore? This is not, I want to think about it. And to those of you that want to think about it, your thoughts got you where you are. Now you need someone else to think differently to pull you out of your own place. You can't solve a problem in the same head as created. So you're going to need someone that thinks differently. Someone that thinks like Sonia, someone that thinks like myself. I came into this company on unemployment. I wasn't unemployable. I always made 100 grand a year. I happen to have a job where I made 157 grand a year, but I worked an 80-hour week. I never saw my family. I never saw anybody. My daughter called me a ghost mom, and I was like, "What do you mean by that?" She said, "Well, I know you'll pay for stuff, but we never see you." So when I asked my director, "Can I take 3 weeks of my 6 months of vacation?" She said, "Sure, just find an assistant." I found a young lady named Kitsara. We paid her 25 grand a year to my 157,000. I went on vacation, took my daughter to Disney, mom on a cruise. We just had a great time reconnecting because we only got one life here. When I came back from vacation, I worked at this job for 15 years. They told me that Kitsara did so great that my job was dissolved. My position was dissolved. That's what do you mean by that? She said, "Well, if you want to stay making 25,000, I know you were making 156 grand before you left, but if you want to make 25 grand, you can stay." My bills were not 25 grand. My bills, I had a mortgage, I had my daughter in private school, I had cars, I had all the things that they told you to get that aren't yours. Listen, you had a mortgage, you don't have a car. I'm sorry, you have a mortgage, you don't have a house, you have a car note, you don't own a car. You got student loans, which means that that degree is not even yours. So if you don't learn to get the things, what did TD Jake said that we've learned to buy the things that we want and beg for the things that we need. Come on, we got to change how we think about stuff. So I came in here, my unemployment check was 357.17. I had never seen a check that small in my life because I've always made money. My best friend told me, "You know what's going on with you, Addie? You're ignorant." And I got insulted. I said, "What do you mean by that?" She said, "With all the hundreds of thousands of dollars you made across your lifetime, where's your $1 million?" And I couldn't explain it. I said, "Well, I gave money to you." She said, "Well, you didn't give me $1 million." She said, "You always giving your money to other people. Maybe you should learn what to do with your money." And I took that as a token. I decided that going into my senior years, I refused to be ignorant. Now, I might be ignorant when I go to Germany. I don't know German. That's okay. I can learn German. If I can learn German, I can learn English. I can learn how to be broke. I can learn how to be wealthy. Your job is to reclaim your wealth because your family's dynamic and legacy depend on it. So it's not about you thinking about this program. It's about you stop thinking and do something about your situation. And if you're wealthy on here already, double it so that we can do more outreach to more people. So you want to take it from there?
I think you did
Before you,
amazing job.
before you, um, I,
That's Angela.
I,
Pastor Starworth, you're breaking up real bad. I don't know if you're on your phone.
I didn't get her phone.
I got it. I'll get it to you. You trying to get a phone number?
I'm very interested.
Okay.
Yes, I'm
There
very,
you go.
very interested. I like what you're talking about. I'm familiar with your product. And so, I
Pastor
like his,
Pastor
yeah.
Stallworth,
yes.
the key to working with us is the process that we put you through, because the products are available, but unfortunately, if people don't use the product wisely, they may not get the same result. So I always tell people we can take a tool. Can let me ask you a question. Can we actually put a nail in the wall with a screwdriver?
Well, it might be a little difficult, but
Listen,
I
we
think
come from
it'd
a
be
people
a
that figure
lot
it out,
easier
right?
with a hammer, right?
Okay, so here's the challenge. If the only tool I got is a screwdriver, I promise you that nail's going in the wall.
Right.
But
Okay.
what if somebody taught me how to use a hammer or gave me a hammer? How about even better? How about somebody give me a nail gun?
Oh, wow.
And what I feel is like our people, because of the limited number of licensed people, which Ida went over in her statistical part of this presentation, the limited number of licensed people we have in our community is putting us in a position where we're trying to put together game plans that will never work in our lifetime because we don't have the proper financial tools or resources. We don't know the strategies to use. So as a result, it's like trying to put a nail in the wall with a screwdriver versus getting a power gun or a nail gun. And I'm telling you, the other communities have people who teach them how to use. First of all, teach them how to buy themselves a power, whatever they call it, a power gun, and then they teach them how to use it. And that's how their families get free. Our families, on the other hand, here's how we roll. I don't know if you ever heard of something called a whisk broom, but back in the South, they used to make these brooms with the straw and they used to wrap string around it. And then the next level of person came along and we were able to buy the broom. Then we got a vacuum cleaner. Well, the reality is when we call legacy planning, Pastor, we should be going to the maid, but instead we go right on back to the whisk broom, start from scratch again, because our families don't know how to do this.
Well, I'm very much interested in the legacy planning. I know the benefits of having, leaving a legacy and having something established. We call it like an insurance, something established for not just for death benefit, but for retirement, and having another person that can come in and take over and not have to start from scratch. That's our problem. Everybody has to come in and have to start from scratch. There's no residual, nothing built up.
Right.
And so.
Well, let
I'm
me ask you
excited
this,
to hear
Pastor Starworth. You say you're interested. Do you have outside of yourself? Do you have somebody in your congregation that might be working with your finance that you might recommend that needs to take this training to help you at Crown of Glory, so that we can have checks and balances and you can have insurance and learn how to do this, and they also can be licensed through the training. I want you to consider that, because I'm gonna be pitching this at our meeting this coming Thursday.
Yeah, well, I don't have anyone. I don't have the numbers to find someone. Everyone I have is wearing 2 and 3 hats. So, and then I'm not in a position to take the training, although I'm very interested in the training and it's portions of the training. I'd like to know it because that really struck my interest when she was talking and she was speaking about the what was that again? The cow.
Yeah.
Owning the cow and renting the cow. And it sounds to me a lot like what you're talking about is they try to get you to put your houses to sell your house to the real estate, to the mortgage company, and then live in the house until you die. I forget what they call that. But
Reverse
they have
mortgage.
a plan now where they're saying
It's called a reverse
the
mortgage.
reverse mortgage, right? And that plan to me it never sounds like a good idea, because when you're dead, there's nothing for your family. There's nothing left, And if they want to stay there, then they have to begin to start paying the note,
Absolutely.
whatever you incurred or whatever you've taken. And in some instances, I've heard that they even have to pay more, because then the real estate company owns the property and they can up the amount for that same piece of property. So
And that's a clear indication of a failure to plan.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's like putting a tourniquet on something that's already bleeding.
Right.
And that's what happens when we don't have these conversations. So one thing I just want to share, Pastor, you said something very powerful, and I just want everyone to get these words. I call it the three-letter powerhouse word, and that word is YET. You said, I don't have anyone. I'm going to say yet. That could be, this could be the ministry that grows the ministry, that actually brings people into the storehouse. Because this is when you start seeing, and people in your congregation start to show their prosperity for being a part and connected to your ministry. That's very attractive to people.
Yeah. And speak to what those who go through this training after being licensed, what all they will be able to do and how they can make an income for themselves as a licensed individual in this field. You know, we talked about the benefits, but I want you to specifically kind of let them know what they'll be able to do and how they'll be able to not only help others, their family, their church, or whatever, but how this is going to help them individually, financially.
Okay, well, let me just, I guess the best way that they say testimonials are worth 1,000 words. So I'm going to just use my own personal testimony. So I was blessed to be introduced to this information straight out of school. And as a result, Bishop, of being introduced, I was young, didn't have a job, didn't know anything about money. But I also knew nobody in my family knew anything about money. I had about $22,000 of student loan debt. I think I did well considering that a lot of people had a lot more debt than I did. But the difference was I understood that when I heard what Ida talked about, when I heard the ignorance that I had, I figured I was ignorant, Bishop, because I was just getting out of school. They didn't teach me this in school. But then they gave me the opportunity to teach it. And so what happened for me was I was able to teach not only, I actually started because I just wanted to teach my own family. And my father was from the South, my mom was from the South, and they had never really had any education when it comes to financial management. Now, what has happened as a result of me being in this system for this length of period of time is that I was able to actually teach my family how to hold on and maintain land that we had that was generational land because of the mentorship that I got here. I've been also able to be an entrepreneur. I've never worked for anyone because of the bootstrapping and just the entrepreneurial coaching that I received. I was able to maintain a income enough to not only support me, but now I have a son that's going to an HBCU in the South. And I'm excited about that. Was able to purchase my own home. And now I subsequently own, not only I own the business that I'm a part of right now, I'm actually the owner of it. And I'm in a position where I can transfer this to my son in the future. So it's been able to take care and help me sustain my 81-year-old mother and her finances. I taught her how to retire. So she's been retired for actually 22 years. She was 59 years old when she retired. And we were able to show her how to do that because of learning the strategies that were here. So again, I guess the benefit of the income is that the sky is the limit. You know, in the financial services industry, it's not uncommon to make $10,000 to $15,000 a month. Even on a part-time basis. So if that's something that could be very helpful to a person, they want to make sure that they, again, talk to Ida, but more importantly, email her and let her know that you're interested, because we can show you how to be able to put those kind of incomes together. But for some people, just having the extra income to pay for a car note or car insurance, or again, support and supplement, that is powerful. So $5,000 to $1,000 a month is not really that difficult once the training is in place and the license is in place. Those type of incomes are very much available here. Ida?
Cool. Thank you so much. And one of the other things is it's not about what you make, it's what you keep. And so what we teach people is if you're looking to retire and you got another 25 years at your job, how about we accelerate that? How about we show you how to put an extra $2,000 away toward your retirement plan in a system that's going to pay you because we're licensed up and we know how to make money. It's not a foreign language to Sonia and I. And so most people need extra. They just don't know how to get it. So they end up staying at jobs for an extra 20 years, an extra 10 years. We're saying you're not supposed to be tethered to a job unless you love it so much you don't want to leave it. Most people I've talked to hate their jobs. They just go there because it pays the bills. So here, I'll tell you what stuck me here. Not stuck me, but what saved me here. The saving grace here was my mom had a life insurance policy since we were little kids. I won't even tell you the company. With this particular company, she was paying, the older you get, the more you have to pay for these policies. So mommy's paying $778 every quarter for this policy. Once I got licensed, I noticed that my mother didn't have what's called a cover page. And so I said, Mom, where's your cover page? She said, Well, you're the expert now. Why don't you look for it? I thought that was funny. So then I looked for her cover page and couldn't find it. We ended up calling the company to find out that for the last 7 years, or at that time for 7 years, that company was taking payments. And my mother is 82. So she had that policy forever. They were taking payments, but they didn't record them. And so we went to the main office to ask them, what's going on here? My mother's making payments. We don't have any record of her making any payments. I said, we got record. We got all the canceled checks. So they said, oh my gosh, we're so sorry. What we're going to do is we're going to make an adjustment. We apologize. We thought that we didn't, Office A didn't tell Office B what was happening. So then I thought, what if something had happened to my mom? And my brother and I went to present for the money to take care of her. They would have said that that policy was non existent. So they would have ended up keeping the money from my mom and keeping the money that they made off of it all those years. So we were able to tell that company, if you don't refund the 7 years of money, that we're going to go to the media about what you've done. They gifted my mother a check. We put that check in investments. Mommy doesn't need insurance. That's legacy money for the grandkids. Then I started thinking, how many other families are they doing that to that don't know because they don't know what's in that drawer that's covered with dust? We're on a massive campaign to let you know what you got. It shouldn't be in the drawer under dust. It shouldn't be hidden someplace. Everybody in your family should know where your paperwork is. It's not about GoFundMe's. GoFundMe was created for people to buy soccer equipment. It was not in place to create legacy. That's a lazy legacy right there.
Yeah,
So that's what we do. And I'm excited.
yeah. Now, you all have been so gracious. It's about 6:15 or so. Listen, talk to us about how they can be a part of the training and the cost of the training and how they can win the training when you have the training slated to start so
Sure.
that they can jump in and be ready to go.
Well, the licensing is always very expensive. And so the average person going to college is going to spend between 25 to maybe 150 to $200,000 for that education. The challenge there is you're going to come out and be part of the unclub, unemployed, unhappy, unsuccessful because you're not promised a position. So our position is degrees will give you a position, but licenses will pay you forever. So the mission here is the licenses are very expensive because only 5% of America has them. Well, only 5% of I don't think they're even in America, but only less than 5% own these licenses. The very wealthy that control everything control these licenses. So of course they're going to be very expensive. But Primerica is a vehicle that's looking for working class people, and we're part of that vehicle that can get you those licenses for just your background check. And of course, you have to come to us with clean hands because you can't go in front of somebody if you got a checkered past that dealt with fraud or stealing checks or bank fraud. You can't do that. You have to come in with clean hands. These are state and federal licenses. We are not making this up. So the cost here, $125 for the background check that goes to the state. That doesn't go to us. We don't need your money. We need your brain, right? And then $25 a month because all of the access to everything is online. What's also amazing because Primerica is such a huge company is that once you become our business partner, you're now in the financial industry and you're now looked at as a consultant. You're not a consultant yet because you got to get trained. But as soon as we get the paperwork processed, Your cell phone becomes a tax write-off. That's a business expense. We teach you how to write stuff off. Your trips around wherever you go are tax write-offs. You go out to dinner, the wealthy people don't pay for anything. Remember, the laws to wealth were written for the wealthy, by the wealthy, for the wealthy. We teach you those laws so that you can start writing off stuff. And then where you start to save money or not spend money, let's take that money and put it into your investments so that your net worth grows. It sounds like a lot. I've been here a long time. You're not going to know everything I know over a course of a 2 hour, 3 hour session. You must get immersed in this conversation and in a program of excellence for you to get better financially. Look, if you don't speak French and I took you to France, the first day you might just ask for French fries because you think that's a French thing to ask for, right? But if you stay there long enough, you'll be able to have a living conversation about what's going on in France to someone that lives there because you've learned the language. You must submerge yourself, whether it's submission, get involved in the mission. The mission is financial independence, financial freedom, whatever you want to call it, but it's about legacy. And if you don't create a legacy, don't expect someone to show up at your door at 80 years old with a bag called legacy. It's not going to happen. Sonia?
Thank you so much. You did an amazing job. So I have no more words for that. You're right. There's nobody going to show up with the bag. But the key is we're showing up before that and we're showing people how to pack the bag. So Bishop, we're going to turn it back over to you, but I do want people to recognize that if you look at the Bible, a lot of people in the Bible, well, most of the people in the Bible, I don't know if anybody ever retired in the Bible. They didn't retire. They may have changed positions, but they didn't retire. But the key here is that you're going to either want to or have to stop working at some point. And you just, as Ida said earlier, you just want to make sure your money's working for you. And if we can position you where the money could go to work for you, then that's going to just put you in a better position and make more options available to you. And that's what we're willing to do through getting people licensed as well as getting people literate when it comes to financial matters. Bishop?
All right. One more question. How long is the training before they are qualified or certified to receive license?
Usually the training lasts anywhere from 3 to 6 weeks in the initial stages. That will get you at least through the licensing process and also through the training, the initial training process. But we are lifelong learners here. So we're always being trained. We're always learning. So I would actually say to people 3 to 6 weeks is the initial stages of it. It's not it's just the beginning, but we can get through a lot of the groundwork in the first 3 to 6 weeks. But then after that, we go into an intensive of teaching you how to be able to run an operation. As Ida mentioned, there's a lot of technology that we use and we're able to tap into it. Some of the technology we have, these are the big Wall Street and Chicago exchanges. They use the same technology that we teach our people how to use. The great thing is that they're paying money, thousands of dollars a month for it, and we've shown people how to tap into it because we have access to this company that has the money that wants to put feet on the ground. So we're looking for this army of people, Bishop, that we can put together that can actually help the people help themselves.
All right. So let me be clear so everybody understand. And then if they have any further questions, the email address is still up. You can copy that and make sure you have any questions, you can make contact. And those of you that are listening, interested, she gave me permission to share a phone number where she can be reached directly. So the $125 will cover the background check. And then you say that then there is is it a $25 per month or
It's a
whatever?
$25 a month fee because all of the educational tools, the classes, the tutoring, everything is done online. So to have access to that, it's online. Someone said to me, well, do I have to keep that on? Well, as long as you want to learn, keep it on. The other thing is you're going to learn how to write that off. So either you're going to give that $25 a month to the government, or we're going to show you how to write that off to get your money back. The mission
Yeah,
is to get you to
it's-
keep more of your money so that you can invest it for you and your family benefits rather than the government benefiting or the banks benefiting. The banks are not your friends, and Uncle Sam ain't your uncle. So we got to really fix these things. If that makes sense.
Say
Because
that again. The bank is not your
the
friend.
bank is not your friend,
Uncle
and
Sam.
Uncle Sam is not your uncle. And as long as y'all recognize that, we can get better. Someone I was speaking to that's the head of one of the musicians in ministry said that there's a lot of musicians that don't want to claim certain monies that they make. I say to that, get a plan. You're hiding money because you don't know, you don't want someone to take your money. But as long as you operate from a place of scarcity, you're going to stay there. So when,
Yeah.
once you get educated in money, you start to learn that money makes money. You ain't got to hide money, right? And to Miss Stallworth, you're going to have a mega structure of a church. And I want you to stop thinking limited. There's no limitations in this circle here that we're together. We're talking about taking limitation off the top. Primerica was named the best place for women to work. And we're not selling Primerica. We're telling you that we are going to help you. Primerica is a vehicle. If we went to Princeton and we were graduates of Princeton, we could show you what we learned in Princeton. We're not going to make you go to Princeton for it. We're just going to give you the tools that are necessary that we got from Princeton. However, Primerica is the Princeton of finance, and we got more graduates that make more money.
Awesome, awesome. Listen, this has been awesome and educational, enlightening and encouraging and a blessing. And again, Ecclesiastes chapter 10, verse 19, the feast make you laugh, the wine make you merry, but money answereth all things. And I think if y'all told the truth, I come to realize it. I can't do what I want. I got a great vision. I need to get in this training myself. You know, my music. I'm telling the truth. You know, I'm working on some things. I'm working from home now anyway, so I ain't got nothing but time. And listen, let me say this. My grandfather told me a long time ago, and that's why I'm going to be first partaker. If you don't invest, you'll make a mess. You got to invest. At what point, friends, do we invest in ourselves, in our future, our families, and those of you who are leaders of churches, you can take the lead for your ministry and your people and getting yourself educated and making sure those around you become money literate, educated, so that they can take the ranks and help you. That's what Paul was talking about in Ephesians 4. You know, the fivefold ministry is for the equipping of the saints, for the work of the ministry. So what better tool can we use to help equip some people in ministry that can help us while you know, like the apostles did, they chose deacons to take away some of the responsibility, where you need some people in your ministry who are licensed, who know finance, can get this training from the best experts that I've ever met in my life. I'm just sold on it. And let me ask this before we go. Have you scheduled a time to start the training?
What's great about what we do is that because it's online and because we're such a huge organization, we could tailor it to each person. So it's
Wow.
not we can tailor it to the schedule is busy. You can't be too busy to get wealth. You can't be too busy to get your wealth. If some lady told me, the woman told me the other day, I'd love to learn the program, but my schedule is too busy. And I said, are you telling me that you're too busy to get wealthy? Because there's something on your plate that needs to be moved off that can make room for your wealth. Because otherwise, you know, like on Thanksgiving, you have stuffing, you got macaroni and cheese. Hopefully, not eating like that this second, but you got stuffing, you got macaroni and cheese, some collard greens, and some yams there. But maybe you got too much on that plate. You need to take some of them yams or put some salad there. Put the right stuff on your plate, if that makes sense, and
So
get better.
I can take this course, this training, any
We'll
time
cater
of
it.
the day. I could
We can
be up
cater it
at
to you.
midnight, 3:00 in the
That's
morning,
right. That's
because it's
right.
all online. So here, I'm telling y'all, the reason why I wanted to go there, because anybody that think they're gonna make an excuse, we have just killed that for you.
Here's an
No
extra one.
excuses.
Here's an
You
extra one,
can do
Bishop.
this any
Here's,
time of day. It's gonna be online. You just got to connect and they will give you the access that you can get in and do your training.
Right.
Each and every day, or however it works.
Right.
We're gonna get the ins and outs of it so that you, I'm talking to you, y'all looking at me, y'all looking at me strange on your live or wherever y'all are. I know y'all
Hey
y'all
Bishop,
know me.
My mom is 82 years old, and mommy said she refused to go out this life and not being educated, financially educated. Now my mother did great things in her time to make sure that when she retired with 90 grand a year. That means she did some stuff right in
Yeah.
retirement to be able to do that. But she said she refused to go into the next life and not just. My mother was a graduate of NYU. She graduated magna cum laude. She's a smart woman, but she said she's not going to leave this life and not be financially educated. So right now, she's already life licensed. She's 82, and she's
Mm,
studying for her investment licenses. Why not?
right, right.
No
Well,
excuses. Ain't no age excuses.
listen, this has been a treat. This has been awesome. And those of you that might be jumping in on the tail end, it'll be on our YouTube channel, Interdenominational Assembly of Churches USA, and it'll be on our page. You'll be able to go back and reference this and listen. If you are serious, and I know you are, because everybody need money, everybody like money, everybody wants some money. So you'll have a chance to view this. Matter of fact, instead of doing a movie tonight, make this a video night. Call your family, get them over under false pretenses. Tell them you're gonna fix a big dinner tonight. Tell them to get over there. Tell them to get over there by 8 o'clock tonight. And you're gonna have some hors d'oeuvres, and you're gonna have a spread. If you don't do it tonight, do it tomorrow after church. Instead of sitting around talking about nothing, put this video on, put it on the big screen, cast it on your screen from your computer, from your device, and listen to this counsel, these great women who are sharing information that can change our lives. I want to thank you both for taking the time this afternoon to give us this information and enlighten us. And we're going to pray before we go. Is there any closing remarks any of you want to give before we go?
I do. I just want to say this. I want to say that recognize, as Ida mentioned, there's no excuses, but this is what has catapulted me in this phase of my business, where I am now. And that is our kids are going to start where we finish. So we need to finish strong.
Yeah.
So that's why there's no age limit to this, because wherever we finish is where our kids are going to start. And we want to give them an excellent start, because some of us didn't come from that opportunity.
You're right.
Amen.
Yeah, yeah. Ida, you want to share something before we go?
Absolutely. I think that fear is something that stops us from moving things in the right direction. And I want everybody to know that your family's legacy doesn't have any space for fear. You're going to have to be that avenger for your family and put on your cape and then get in here and let us show you how to make sure that your DNA changes. One of the proficient rappers said that we got royalty inside our DNA. For some reason, we forgot that finance was a part of it. So that's God's language. And the only reason, if you got a lot, then let's double it. But if you're struggling here, the only way to fix it is to heed wise counsel and then just follow wealthy folks' footprints. And I guarantee you that 2022 will look totally different if you give yourself a shot. Don't listen to broke folks. Don't listen to folks that can't swim, try to teach you how to swim. Get in here, fix your backstroke, and let's get things right.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, friends, you heard it right here from the professionals. And I pray that you're receiving this information. And again, you can access this information. Her email is still on the screen. Write it down and certainly contact them immediately as soon as possible. Do it for yourself. Do it for your family. Do it for your ministry. You'll be glad you did. I want to appreciate both of you, and I want to pray for this campaign that you all have launched, and pray for both of you for your continued prosperity and success, for reaching out and reaching to the community that needs this the most. And that's us, the Black community across the country and even around the world. We need this information. We suffer from lack of knowledge. we fail from lack of knowledge. And so thank God that God has blessed you all to gain the knowledge, and you're so open and humble enough to share it with those of us who need it. And I tell people all the time, it's not a shame not to know, it's a shame not to get to know or to learn. So let's all just go on and admit we are limited in our knowledge about investments and finances. Now, we got money, we know how to count it, but some of us don't know how to spend it. It just goes everywhere. We're looking for it, and we get a lot of money, and we can't even give an account for it. So thank God for you. I want to pray for you all, if you all don't mind, before we go. Father, we thank you tonight for this wonderful, awesome fellowship and privilege. We thank you for these two chosen servants, God, that you sent our way. Their voices, God, to the nation, their voices to all those of us who need to hear a refreshing word concerning finance. And thank God your word declares that money is the answer to all things. So we thank you for Sonia, this coach, Sister Ida, who've given their time today, and they have shared information that we need. I pray, God, for each one of them that you will continue to bless them, crown their heads with wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. And as they reach out with this as ministry to the world, God, I pray that whatever they need, you will supply their needs according to your riches and glory. And I pray Psalms 90 and 17 upon their lives. And let the beauty of the Lord our God be upon them, and establish the work of their hands upon them. Yea, Lord, the work of their hands establish thou it. So God, I pray that whatsoever their hands touch, you will cause it to prosper in the name of Jesus. Now, God, if there's a need in their life, we know you're able to supply. Bless them spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, and financially continually. And I pray that those who have heard today, let them hear what you have said to them as sound wisdom and counsel. And Father, we'll be so careful to give your name glory, honor, and praise. This is your servant's prayer. Amen, and thank God. Well, bless you all. And again, thank you for being our guest right here. And listen, you have an open door policy with me. Listen, anytime we can do this, and maybe we'll come back and see what progress we've made on you recruiting those numbers. And again, I'm so appreciative. Pastor Starworth is one of our pastors that got on, but this coming Thursday, we're going to be in our regular monthly meeting. And on my agenda, this is going to be on the top of the agenda to share this information and encourage the pastors that wasn't available today to go back later and view this. And then we're going to be pushing it. So praise God for you. We love you and thank God. Listen, friends, again, if you missed this, it's going to be on our page, Interdenominational Assembly of Churches USA, and on our YouTube channel. And do me a favor, subscribe to our YouTube channel. All you got to do is go there. And on our page, hit the notification bell. So anytime we go live, you'll be notified that we're on live, and you can participate in the conversation as we have it. God bless you today. This is Bishop Andre Woods saying, I command the blessings of the Lord to overtake you. Till next time, you have a blessed day. Bless you all. Thank you all. Love you.
All right. God bless you.
God bless you.